There's only one franchise operating today that's consistently putting out the biggest, the loudest, and sometimes the dumbest blockbusters you've ever seen in your entire life, and that's the MonsterVerse. They honestly might be the best in the business when it comes to offering up pure popcorn movie escapism. And with the release of Godzilla Kong: The New Empire, we now have 5 entries in this series, so it's time to rank these bad boys from worst to best. Today, we crown the one true king of the MonsterVerse, so let's get into it. Coming in at number 5 is Godzilla King of the Monsters, and this is a tough one because I feel like when you lay everything all out on the table, this is the closest thing we've ever gotten to a vintage Godzilla movie within the MonsterVerse. It's full of mythology, team-ups, rivalries. All of the core monster stuff we get in here is fantastic, but the movie's constantly weighed down by the overabundance of human characters and all of their stupid decisions. I know people complain a lot about the humans in this franchise as a whole. They don't usually bother me all that much, but they really derail a lot of the enjoyment this time around. Like seriously, they have you rooting for the Titans to wipe us all out. On the other hand though, they pulled out all of the stops when it comes to the amount of monster mayhem they offer up on screen, especially when you compare it to Godzilla's previous outing where he's kind of hidden and held back from us for a while. They're playing with a full roster this time. When it's firing on all cylinders, it's really fun. When it shifts its focus away from the monsters, it's a real struggle to get through. Also, you already knew I was going to pick the entry where they destroy Fenway Park to be at the bottom of my list. Come on now. Coming in at number 4 is Godzilla Kong: The New Empire, the latest entry in the MonsterVerse franchise. And what an absolute acid trip and Saturday morning cartoon of a monster movie this is. I think for me, the most impressive aspect about this film, though, is the amount of visual storytelling it's able to achieve with the Titans. There are big chunks of this movie where it's just monsters and not a single word of dialogue, but you're still able to perfectly figure out what's going on through various grunts and body language. This has me begging for an entry in the MonsterVerse without a single human character, and after seeing this, I think they can pull it off. But when that does happen, I hope they focus more on giving us an actually menacing villain, because I didn't think that Scar King was up to the task. Now, did we really get that buddy cop film that we were promised with this one? No, this is definitely a King Kong movie at the end of the day, which I am not complaining about, but there are some seriously cool moments in here once we get that eventual team up. And I'm not even kidding, cut like 30 minutes of the human stuff out of this movie, and it would be a lot higher up on my list. Coming in at number 3 is Godzilla, the one that started it all. I think this movie does a really solid job acting as a jumping off point for the MonsterVerse because it immediately sets the tone for what's to come in future installments through its action and its epic introduction to our larger-than-life title character. I can't overstate enough just how badass that Chinatown sequence is, and that roar has honestly become iconic at this point. Like, when I think about the MonsterVerse as a whole, that's the first moment that was really seared into my brain. But I have to say, I think my biggest issue with this film is the switcheroo they pull on us regarding the main character of this story. Bryan Cranston is quickly established as the guy that has real emotional stakes when it comes to proving that Titans exist on Earth. Then right before he's about to become vindicated and usher us into this world of monsters, he is literally tossed aside. They then throw the limelight to his son, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, who has virtually no connection to Godzilla whatsoever. He's just a soldier trying to get back home to his wife and kid. Not exactly how I would have done it, but the movie still ends up being pretty entertaining and gripping regardless of that decision. Godzilla is still hidden away from us a little bit more than I would have liked, but what we do get is pretty awesome, even if that last battle makes you think you're wearing sunglasses while you're watching it. Gotta turn that brightness all the way up, buddy. Coming in at number 2 is Godzilla vs. Kong, the epic testosterone-filled turf war we'd all been waiting for. Now, let's not beat around the bush here. This movie knows exactly what it's trying to be. There's no emotional depth, it's all style over substance, and the Titans involved feel like wrestlers fighting in a big-budget Super Smash Bros. Arena more than anything else. You're half expecting to see Godzilla hit one of them across the back with a goddamn folding chair. And that's exactly what I wanted to see. Definitely not without its flaws, but when push comes to shove, this movie works because the visuals are incredible, it doesn't take itself too seriously, and it sets up this larger shared world that we actually want to learn more about. I mean, come on, Hollow Earth, ancient rivalries, government conspiracies? They left no stone unturned here, people. This entry really puts in the legwork when it comes to setting up the future of this franchise, and you have to give it props for that. But most importantly, it just gave us what everyone really wanted to see in the first place. These two behemoths absolutely slapping the shit out of each other. Coming in at number 1 is Kong Skull Island, and if you know me at all, you saw this taking the top spot from a mile away, but I genuinely believe that this is the best movie we've gotten in the MonsterVerse so far. I think it stands head and shoulders above the other entries in the franchise when you look at the cinematography, the performances, and the overall vibe that it brings to the table. They really nail that 70s Vietnam War era feel, and they're able to do that because of the color grading, the visuals, and the soundtrack. No other entry in this series actively goes out of its way to this degree to give us something different. It's weird using the word relatability when talking about any of these monster movies, but they also do a pretty good job humanizing Kong over the course of the film as we watch these invaders swoop in and start destroying his home, and they actually give us a human character we're actively rooting for in John C. Reilly. That definitely adds a layer of emotion to the movie that the others just don't really have, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, the lore is dense, the setting is addicting, and the fights are gnarly. My boy might get his ass beat a lot in this franchise, but on this list, he's king. So there you have it, guys, my ranking of all 5 movies in the MonsterVerse. Now you know how my list shakes out, but I want to hear what yours is. This is definitely a franchise where everyone's going to have very different favorites, so let me know in what order you have these bad boys. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys at the next one.